Is your country at risk of getting its own column in the Visa Bulletin? Is there too many people applying for a green card? Let's find out. Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist, not a lawyer. In this channel, we talk about green card categories in which you can self-petition. That means you don't need to have a job offer, a company sponsoring you, and you don't even need to hire a lawyer. Today, we're going to discuss a topic that we touch on a recent live session with my course members. I do special live sessions exclusive for that group of people in my EB2 NIW course. If you are interested, at the end of this video, I'll let you know how to get inside that resource that is my course. The question in that live session was from Jake, and it was, what is the exact 7% rule? Is there any method to know in advance that a country is in danger of being pulled out of ROW? ROW is rest of world, for those of you who don't get these weird acronyms from USCIS. So to answer Jake's question, I beat a little bit around the bush, but I think it's important to understand how the green card quotas work, and particularly for employment-based green cards. So I have three types of limits or quotas that USCIS and the State Department are obligated to follow. It's not a choice. They need to follow because it's mandated by the law, by Congress. So there's, first of all, a total annual limit of 140,000 employment-based green cards per year. Okay, and in the next slide, we'll see what is the overall distribution also with other types of green cards. There is an exception for this, and is that unused employment-based visas or green cards can be carried over to the next fiscal year. So if they didn't use all those 140,000 green cards, they can add them to next year's quota. Also, there have been exceptional exceptions. For example, during the pandemic, they allowed family-based green cards to be carried over for employment-based, which is generally not allowed, but they allowed it there exceptionally. Now, there's also a limit on categories. So you know that there's EB1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 28.6% of all those 140,000 green cards that go to EB1, same for EB2, same for EB3, 7.1% for EB4, and 7.1% for EB5. However, there's an exception that is called informally the fall up and fall down approach. And that is what is represented here by these arrows. And I also have a better graphic in the next slide. Basically, the unused visas from EB4 and EB5 can be used for EB1, and the unused visas for EB1 can go to EB2. The ones that are not used for EB2 can go for EB3, okay? Then, on top of those two limits, we have a per country limit or per country quota, and that's the famous 7% that Jake was referring to. A maximum of 7% of all green cards in a given year can be given to a particular country. Is there an exception to that? No, there's no provision to alter this, and that gives sense to the Visa Bulletin. The Visa Bulletin is the representation of this quota, because countries like India or China, they are countries that have a lot of population, a lot of applicants for immigration benefits in the US. So that makes that they quickly fulfill that quota, that 7% quota, and there's no more visas for them. That's why there's a backlog, and that's why we need to look at the Visa Bulletin. But it's not only China and India. Those are the countries that have more issues, but many countries have some sort of issues. So here is just a couple of screenshots from the annual report 2023 from CIS, and you can find a link below in the description. Basically, again, this is the percentages and the numbers for each type of green card. For EB2, we have 40,000, but that is not only EB2 NIW, that's the whole EB2. And for EB1, there's another 40,000, but again, that's not only EB1, that's EB1, sorry, it's not only EB1A, it's EB1A, EB1B, and EB1C, okay? And this is a better representation to that transfer of visa numbers that USCIS can apply inside the employment-based green card. So EB4, we have those almost 10,000. If there is less demand than availability, then they can use those excess numbers to EB1, and the same goes for EB5, okay? Then EB1, there's 40,000 plus whatever numbers came from these other two excesses. So if not all the numbers are used, there's less demand than numbers, then the excess can go for EB2. And then if there's more numbers from EB2 than those used, they can go for EB3. Usually, I don't think that's the case, but this is the theory, okay? So you can see how EB1 can be benefited if there is some extra numbers here, considering also that EB1 is generally the one that is highest, so is less prone to have high demand. Now, this is where the 10,000 number comes from. It's easy. There's 140,000 total employment-based green cards times 7%, we get 9,800 green cards. This is the annual limit for each of the countries. The rule is set by Congress, like I said, and USCIS and State Department cannot violate this rule. The rule does not take into account number of applicants, their categories, or the country's population. This is how countries get their own column in the Visa Bulletin. So in the Visa Bulletin, generally we have all chargeability areas. That's what we call row, rest of world. And then we have columns for those countries that have so many applicants that they are backlogged because they need a separate date, not the general date. The question in one of my previous videos, one time I did a live session, was how do you predict if a country can risk getting their own column, which would be bad for that country? And Jake here was asking the same thing. So can we estimate it? I was actually curious about this because when I saw the number of Brazilian approvals for EB2 NIW, I thought, wow, they have a lot of demand. People from Brazil are really applying heavily. So I was wondering, will they be close to reaching that 7% quota? How do we estimate that? Let's take India, for example, and look at the number of I-140 approvals. So that's the data I found, I-140 approvals. So we go to USCIS data. This is from their official website. And we see that throughout the years, Indians' I-140 approvals have always been way in excess than the magic 9,800 number, okay? And this is only I-140s. This is only for the principal applicant. It doesn't take into account if later family members are added. That would also take some visa numbers from the pool. And then also keep in mind that 2023 here in all the charts we're going to see, it doesn't have Q4, so it's not complete. But you see that India has surpassed the magic number every single year since 2013, probably also before. So that's the reason why they are so backlogged in general. All right, so let's see Brazil, which is the country that I was thinking maybe they are at risk. So Brazil, on the other hand, even though the demand has been steadily and rapidly increasing from 2013, 750 approvals for I-140s until 2022, they reached 5,000. They surpassed 5,000. They are still not close, not so close compared to this 9,800 number. However, you can see that at the speed they are moving up, I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 years or so they get there. But that depends on so many factors that I'm not going to get into that type of prediction, okay? So what happens with another country that I didn't think that had so much demand? they already have their own column in the Visa Bulletin, but the dates for employment base are always following the rest of world dates. If you see Philippines, from 2013 to 2018, they were below 5,000 I-140 approvals, what I consider safe. But 2019 to 2021, they already surpassed 5,000 approvals. And in 2022, they were close to 10,000, so they were actually above this 9,800. But I don't know how many of those actually got a green card, how many of those completed an adjustment of status, how many of those had family members, how many family members they had. So even though they did reach that magic number, maybe, well, I think so, because the Visa Bulletin is still showing the same dates for them, they probably have not surpassed the 9,800 adjustment of status plus consular processing approvals. In other words, actual green cards granted to Philippine applicants. Okay. What do you think about these numbers? Did you expect that Brazil was getting close or not? Did you think that they were already about to get their own column, like I thought initially? And that was just me without looking at numbers, of course. Were you also surprised about Philippines? Do you think other countries may also be at risk? I can tell you right now that that's not the case, because I look at the data. So Philippines, it would be the next in line, unless things change dramatically, which could also happen. But what do you think? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And before you go, I was talking at the beginning that this topic came up in a live session in November for my EB2 NIW online course. Now I'm doing that. I'm also having some live sessions with them. And if you are interested, if you are serious about EB2 NIW, go to eb2niw.info. If you are interested in EB1, go to eb1greencard.info and look around. There's plenty of information there for do-it-yourself applicants. But of course, I'm very proud of my online course, because it's really a comprehensive tool. I have a lot of modules, and this is the example for EB2 NIW. I have modules for requirements, explaining what you need to fulfill in order to be eligible for this type of green card, how to put together each type of document, even how to fill out the forms, and you can submit questions. You don't have to wait for the live sessions. You can submit them through the course platform. In each of these modules, I have different lectures. So I will teach you the way I explain in YouTube, but with a lot more detail in video, how to do things. And I will be able to show you my own petition, because it is also included in each of these courses. So check out this resource. I'm sure you're not going to be let down by this. And let me know what you think once you got it, okay? This is all for today. Thank you again for being here, for supporting this channel, for subscribing, for sharing it with others. And I will see you in the next video.